Palindrome mileage. Happy Tuesday, we're back to work. Welcome to the vlog. It's a beautiful day in Escondido. So my day's been spent on this car, the Canadian M5. It's plugged in, charging now, wrapping up for the day. We're doing the LCI lights on this, as I mentioned last week. He wanted to do used taillights. It's in pretty good shape. The lens can use some polishing. We'll see if we can do some of that by hand for some minor improvement. But the right light arrived today. It is in. They cut off the grounding spade instead of just pulling it out of the block, so that's annoying. So I had to do a crimp and install a grounding spade on the tail light. The LCI lights have that, comes right out of the light and into the ground block 3 inches below it. Then there's an adapter cable that goes in between the light, the new style connector and the old style connector. And then on each tail light adapter, there's a long wiring lead that's got to be tied to the primary loom under this trim over here, where it then meets the same type of adapter. And this is a red stripe instead of a black stripe, so you can tell them apart later. And we pick that line up. Here's the adapter. They run down there with the main harness. I took this little box out. 4 8s hold the plastic cubby in. 3 more 8s hold the metal bracket to the chassis. I removed the amplifier. I believe that's an amplifier, to neatly, very neatly put all the wiring back there, follow the main harness all the way up. Then there's a bit of a plastic little sheath protection element that goes back here, right there. So that's where the wires go through the firewall, as we'll call it, the rear firewall. You can see the 2 white wires there. Everything's nice and neat under this bolster. Down here, tied to the main loom, behind the B pillar, tied to the loom. Comes up here to the light control module. You have to move 2 pins around. Thankfully, all of the pins that it wants you to plug in are open, so you don't have to do any crazy splicing. The one issue is you have to move like pin 4 to 11, and the wire's not long enough for that, so you got to cut it. And then the one tail light lead, they're both the same length. Really, the left one should be shorter, but what I did there was cut off the excess length, so both tail light wires are the same length. Used that pin to then put on the one that wasn't long enough, put that in the light module, then added the 2 wires that we ran up here to the new light module, the LM2 for AHL adaptive headlights, option S524A, in addition to option S522A, which is by Xenon Lights. Good God. So all of that's wired. One of the headlights showed up today. The guy couldn't find the other one on his truck, or said there was stuff in the way, which is super annoying. So hopefully we'll get that tomorrow. Then on the front, it used to be a 8-pin connector and a 4-pin. 8-pin was for the lights, 4 pins for the adjuster. The LCI lights use 1 big connector, so you cut off the old ones, crimp new pins on there, put them in a new harness. It looks pretty damn factory. I used all the right little insulation things, perfectly crimped the pins on there with that Matco tool, whatever the guy with the black 545 gave me. So all of that is as close to factory as you're going to get. Really, really nice job on the wiring. We'll get the new light hopefully tomorrow, put that in. Obviously there's a ton of codes right now because this light's not even connected. The rear left tail light's not even connected. The front bumper's off. The PDC sensors are all disconnected. So far everything's working. I coded the vehicle order to the LMA from the CAS using an FA write command, and that seems to have worked there, at least for the most part. Like the halos right now, it's just turning on the inner cornering lamp. I think that's because the other light's not connected. It's just confused. So when we get everything hooked up and working, then we'll have to go in and see what coding options we're going to have to tweak. And in NCS Expert and Dummy, there's a billion coding options. I mean, it scrolls for like 10 minutes. So I may just use the Carly to go in there in plain English and code on daytime running lights and flash to pass with bi-xenons and stuff like that. But in terms of writing the mileage or VIN to the LMA, it doesn't seem to matter. The FA write command using the vehicle order from the CAS seem to bring in the options. Then you write a blank FSW PSW.man file using an SG coherent command, which then brings in your options like manual transmission. And that made reverse work. It does light up the lights in the back. It activates PDC, though there's a PDC malfunction, of course, with the front sensors disconnected. I think my ongoing solution for the shifter has arrived today, though when I put it on, I pushed too hard and that pushed the whole assembly, the whole shifter carrier down out of the chassis, which is going to be a major pain in the ass. We'll have to pull the exhaust and the heat shields back out, push it back up in there. I was able to find a pigtail for the wiring, so the wiring is perfect. It looks totally factory. And if the battery were, actually, battery is connected. Wire we dead, there it is. So we get our nice red illumination on there. Since the factory shift knobs are no longer available, this is nice Napa leather here for the knob. Then we have to go into the standard black Dakota leather. I don't love that. You can see the texture difference, though. It is as good as we're going to get, unless somebody wants to custom make a pre-LCI with the quarter round manual 6-speed illuminated M shifter. And you cannot get the illuminated ZHP ones. They just don't exist. So that blows. But as far as everything else, like, I'm happy with fitment. Once I fix that, it looks and feels factory. So I think the customer will be very happy. When we get all the wiring done and we are assured that the lights fully work, we'll put together the ceiling and the little quarter panel, little quarter turn thing, and the entry guard strip here. But really coming along. If we get the rest of the parts tomorrow and coding plays well with me, I should have this job done, at which point, what? Service, I know. At which point we can put the car back up in the air, replace the rear control arms, rear uppers. I got everything. No, I got the wishbones today. The guide links are on their way from Baltimore. So work in progress there, though we're really only a few days away from, I think, being complete with this car. Mike spent most of his day on the Toledo 530 today, Mr. Orlando's car. We're doing a full cooling system refresh per his request. This car has really come a long way with all the fresh suspension hardware, all the control arms in the front. We're doing a radiator, thermostat's already done, water pump bearing feels fine. We're doing the serpentine belt, the AC compressor belt. It had the old school mechanical belt tensioner on there, so we're retrofitting that to a hydraulic tensioner that arrived today, but we need some hardware to make that possible, which I just ordered. The AC compressor is going to stay a mechanical tensioner because it's fine, and I don't want to spend another $70, and neither does he, on another tensioner. But the bolts are fine, the dust caps are fine, pulled the parts off the radiator, those are the old belts. Should really quiet the engine down having fresh pulleys. They were pretty bad before, like there was radial play in the bearing in addition to it just spin forever and you can hear the bearings in there clicking around. So that'll be nice when it's done. The problem is that parts like the radiator have to come from FCP and their overnight shipping is about 7 days. Obviously we're doing the hoses, temp sensor, expansion tank, cap, vent hose. This little thing, we're going to use the URO brand bleeder screws instead of these cheap-ass plastic BMW ones. Lots of work, lots of progress on the 530 today. And we got a new front bumper. This one could be fixed in terms of fitment here. It's just pulled out of the guide. But the bigger issue is all of the mounting hardware for the fender liners is just broken off. And you cannot buy the genuine BMW front bumpers anymore. Clearly, it would need to be repainted anyways. But the bumper doesn't exist, so we went with the aftermarket one, the best one we could find, which is something Fisher. I don't know where my dad put it, but the material is nowhere near as nice. It's really just like ABS plastic made in one big injection mold. It should be okay. We'll probably end up moving over the fog lights, the lower trim grill insert. If he wants a front plate, we'll put this panel on. If not, we'll buy a delete. These quarter panels should be able to come off and move over. That'll get fresh paint, of course. The paint on the hood somehow is okay. You know, it's hazy, but it would buff up and look okay. The roof has clear coat fade, so we'll see if he wants us to do that here or if he's got a guy in Florida. And then the trunk lid needs to be painted as well, I thought. Does it? Oh, maybe not. It's really dirty right now. Maybe it is the hood. I thought there were 2 panels that needed paint. Like all the door handles need paint. Par for the course for a Southern California car. I ordered a mirror cap online. That is an aftermarket because it's way cheaper, so we'll see if it fits. If it does fit, we'll take that off, have it painted along with the front bumper. Whew. Lots of work on this car. Big investment. There's the bumper. It's on the back. He bought this car because it's a sport pack, because it's not silver or black, because it has folding seats. He likes the blue-gray. It's an auto, but we did the nice cluster on this. Pretty clean interior. A couple little marks on the rear headliner that I haven't tried to work with yet. And he's got a tint guy in Florida. They're going to get rid of this horrible textured tint and do a really nice ceramic or nano ceramic film on it. So that's where we are there. Last week I showed you the 540. Today we got it running. Seems to have a low idle, a little rough. We looked at roughness and IMPA. Cylinders 5 and 7 are off the charts, so I'm going to recommend plugs. He cleared a detail. I think this car's been sitting out in Hemet, California, or Paris, somewhere like that. It's out kind of high desert. Obviously, it's been outside for a long time. It's filthy. So we kind of told him we can't really see through the dirt to really give a good MPI on this in terms of condition, body, etc. So we need to do a wash. Take it over to a wash bay, hit it with some spray foam and some compressed water, which we're going to do tomorrow morning. Then we'll proceed with the MPI tomorrow and probably uncover a lot that this car needs. It's just been neglected. Now it is a pretty nice, the bones are good. 02 540 6-speed sport package, contour seats, no other options, does have xenons, high OBC and DSP, auto lights, style 32s, I believe, really dirty. Engine's filthy, the interior's all dusty, someone left a window down. Driver's seat has twist. I think all the windows work. Alternator or battery light is flashing, but it's making a constant 13.8 volts at idle, so I don't know what's going on there. It might just be a bad battery that is not taking a charge. So I look forward to seeing this cleaned up better. Right now it's just a mess, so we'll dig into that tomorrow and really get an idea for what this thing needs. Anyways, 10 minutes. I'm going home. It's getting dark outside. I'm going to eat. My back's killing me from being on my knees, bent over, looking up in the light module wiring, and then sitting on a stool doing the pinning. But yeah, it's going to look nice. I'm guessing it's had a throttle or idle actuator before, because that left plenum does not look like it's seated all the way down. What a can of worms if we dig into that. Maybe someone did a valve cover gasket and didn't put it back. These things are a pain in the ass. There's 5 grommets on the end that need to perfectly seat over the throttle bodies, and they're kind of too tight. And a lot of times you'll find that they kink, and then one throttle body's not breathing right, which generally leads to misfires or oxygen-related codes on one cylinder, but it doesn't have that. Okay, we're home. We're going to keep tonight short, doing more laundry. It missed it just enough on Saturday. I had to do a quick wipe down before we went to Palm Springs. So ordered some more parts tonight, literally just working until 10:30 at night. And that's kind of all I know how to do during the week. Feels like Monday. Today is Tuesday. And it's about 10:20 and I'm going to bed. Let's go to Delicates on Cold. Go. Okay, tomorrow's Wednesday. We'll talk then. Good night.